Alright guys, and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about what makes World of Warcraft, and by extent other MMOs, so ridiculously addictive. You've probably heard the phrase, you either play WoW once and then never again, or for the rest of your life, and it couldn't be more true. You may be sitting there, sitting on your high horse saying, I've played WoW for 10 years and I'm never going back, I've quit for good. But we both know you'll be back at some point. We always end up coming back to playing WoW. I probably quit the game personally about 10 times since I started playing it 16 years ago. There have been many strange news reports of children getting so addicted they play 16 hours a day and it ruins their social lives and their schoolwork. Husbands neglecting their families because they play it too much. Obviously these are extreme examples, probably embellished by the media, but they do exist, and I want to discuss in this video what makes the game so addictive. I want to analyse the gameplay of World of Warcraft to work out what makes people pour countless hours into the game to the point where it does neglect the real world. I think it boils down to 4 major things. 1. Progression, 2. Investment, 3. Gated content, and 4thly, fun. And I'll explain what I mean by each and every point in their own individual section of this video. So first of all, let's talk about progression. So World of Warcraft is a game where you can progress your character to become more and more powerful the more you play the game. You grind dungeons for gear or badges, you grind reputations for gear, and eventually you do raiding. And each and every gear piece you obtain, you see the performance improve, whether that's on the DPS or healing meters, or you can better survive tanking a boss. And it obviously feels good to go from 0 to hero, to being equipped in crappy ragged greens, to being fully decked out in epic gear. You begin hitting like a noodle, and put the time with your character, and come out hitting like a truck. And it takes time to progress your character, and this is what keeps you playing the game for hours and hours. The game is designed so that you have a lot of activities to do to keep progressing your character, even if those activities are fairly boring and repetitive, and the sense that you can get to show off your progression to other players in the online thriving World of Warcraft, it increases your motivation towards playing your character. Because compare that to playing Skyrim, where you would have to invite your friend round to your house to show off the progression of your character, whereas in World of Warcraft you can flex in Shatterar, Dalaran, or whatever the new capital city is in Shadowlands. You can do it to your guild, you can do it on websites like Warcraft Logs and everything like that. Secondly, there's investment. The more you progress your character, the more you fall into the trap of investment. I've spent so much time on my character, I can't just quit the game, otherwise that progression feels wasted. Compare this to a single player adventure game like Tomb Raider or Uncharted. It's a fairly linear story based game where you can't really progress your character to become more powerful or anything like that. When you've completed the game, you're done. That's it. It's over. It's a pump and dump experience. You play it for about 13 hours and you move on to the next game. There's no investment, so you can stop playing the game and move on to the next one. But World of Warcraft simply just isn't like that. It keeps releasing new content to keep you busy. Once you're finished decking your character out in epics, a new raid comes out with new, better epics, and the cycle goes round and round and round. Investment isn't just purely character power either, it's also cosmetic, especially on retail where you can farm vast amounts of mounts, pets, and transmog items. Once you've gone through the effort of farming those mounts, killing a LAR on 10 characters every week for 2 years for example, and after all of that effort you get the mount, then it can be almost impossible to feel the urge to quit the game because you spent so much time trying to get certain items in the game. Unless you end up in severe credit card debt and sell your account for a truckload. Now the third element is gated content. Now what do I mean by this? So when you boot a single player RPG game like Skyrim, you can just sit there and complete all of the content in the game as long as you just put the hours in. Once you put the hours in, you can then move on to the next game. It doesn't quite work like that in World of Warcraft and other MMOs. You can't just go from point A to point B whenever you want. The content is gated in a number of ways. Firstly, you can't just complete the content on your own. You have to find a raid group or several other players. In Classic this is 10 to 25 man raid group, or on retail it's 15 or more. Normally you can't just do this straight away, you have to recruit members to your guild, you have to find a guild and join a guild, and it also relies on the skill of your raid leader and other players in the raid group to actually be able to complete other bosses in the raid. You can't just get to a boss like on a game like Elden Ring and keep attempting it over and over and over again as many times as you want, because in a realistic raiding environment, not everyone can just grind a boss for about 10 hours until it's finally defeated. You know, people have to go to sleep, people have work in the morning and things like that. And then on top of all that, you can only do the raid once per week. Imagine if there was no raid lockouts and you could just farm the same raid over and over again. You could easily get your character fully geared within a few days, but instead it normally takes about 2 months, depending on your luck. This means you have to keep logging in a couple times a week to do those raids to keep your character progressed. It's a slow process, and MMOs are designed like this to keep you playing and to put players on a fairly even playing field so that people can't jump ahead in player power just because they have more time to play the game. The point is, you are physically prevented from essentially completing the game. I mean, technically completing the game anyway, if we're going to classify completing the game as getting all of your best in slot gear. And this is prevented by systems that are in place within the game to stop you from actually accessing the content, and this means the process of progression in the game is hugely staggered and slowed down. Plus, the game is technically a never-ending game as long as Blizzard doesn't get shut down or something. Content for retail and classic is going to continuously keep on releasing, and we all kind of know that. We know that the game is going to have more content soon, so we may as well carry on playing it. There will always be a new raid around the corner, and even possibly a new expansion. You normally don't get this with other games. They normally release DLC over about a year, maybe 6 months, and then they just stop, that's it. Which I've never understood personally. Why stop releasing DLC for, DLC content for a single player RPG or any other type of game, unless you're working on a new installment of that game? Why didn't Skyrim continue to get more DLC? They definitely haven't been working on a new Elder Scrolls 6, but I guess just constantly re-releasing a game over and over again was more profitable. But anyway, that is definitely a tangent. Let's get back to World of Warcraft. Moving on to our last point, and that's obviously, we wouldn't play this game if it wasn't fun. There's a number of different things that you can do in World of Warcraft: raids, dungeons, arenas, RPGs, or just collecting mounts and pets, and I guess pet battles. And different people find different elements of the game fun, and now you can also play retail and classic versions of the game, so there's a lot of choice out there. Defeating the last boss of a raid with your guild is immensely satisfying, and so is chasing logs and pushing arena rating. Although I definitely think that people will still play WoW even though they don't find it particularly fun. Because of the addictive nature of World of Warcraft, let's try that one again. Because of the addictive nature of World of Warcraft's game design and sense of investment they've put into the game, simply prevents you from quitting. WoW really is the most successful and addictive legal drug on the market right now. It kept me playing the game for a good 16 years, even if it was a little on and off, and honestly, every time I just quit retail, I'd probably just go and play on a private server, before Classic WoW came out. But video game addiction, guys, is a very serious issue. You should never be playing so much that it has a negative impact on any element of your real life, career, family, friends, girlfriend or boyfriend. In 2018, the World Health Organization classified gaming disorder as an official form of addictive behavior, and it commonly develops in people with some kind of self-esteem or social anxiety issues. Because gaming is something you can very easily do on your own, without other people, and without their pressure, without their judgment, without getting off your computer chair, and really doing anything strenuous or difficult. It's easy to get addicted to video games. It's a nice, cozy little retreat from the pressures and struggles of the outside world. Up until my second year of university, I was severely addicted to video games. Back in those days, it was actually vanilla World of Warcraft because I was playing the Nestari's private server. I was also very addicted to Counter-Strike and League of Legends. I would sometimes play League of Legends for 24 hours straight, and I wasn't even that good of a game. But one day I decided, I'm sick of being socially awkward, sick of being terrible at talking to girls, not going to lie, and sick of people mocking me for playing too many video games. So I just randomly thought, there's a university gym down the road, it's totally free, I might just go. And I thoroughly believe if I didn't get the gym buzz, I would still be too addicted to video games and probably pretty sad and alone. I'm not saying everyone needs to get their backside in the gym, it's not a big cure-all, although it kind of is. Exercise is always definitely a very positive thing to do in your life, but I think it's important to have other things going on in your life than World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft does not in any way contribute anything to your life. It's an escapist pastime to relax and forget the stress of the working week, and that's how it should be viewed. It's just a bit of fun, and that's how it should remain. When World of Warcraft becomes something more than fun, that's when you're bang in trouble. Your health will deteriorate, your mental health will deteriorate, and so will relationships you have with the other people in your life. Something I do to stop myself from getting burnt out at the game, but also from being addicted, is taking mini breaks. I just had a week and a half off from playing WoW. In fact, I had a week and a half off from even touching my computer, really. And I spent it with friends, I had a bit of a hiking weekend with a girl I'm seeing, and guess what? My character was still waiting for me when I got back, so Bob's your uncle. So, as a final message, add things to your life that actually contribute to your life, and get you off that computer chair. Don't be afraid to take a break from WoW. But anyway, that is just my 2 cents. I know getting over addiction is much easier said than done. Getting over social anxiety is definitely easier said than done. You know, social anxiety is something that I have struggled with for like many, many years. It's probably why I got into video games in the first place, and I've ended up making a career out of it, weirdly. But I think it's always important to don't retreat into your bedroom or your basement, wherever you play World of Warcraft. Don't retreat into your own head. You should always be tiptoeing out of your comfort zone, because then your comfort zone increases. Like, for instance, last week I was invited out with my sister and her friends, and this was like 10 to 15 people I didn't even know, which is normally an extremely nerve-wracking experience for me. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to get on with it. And this weekend, I'm meeting with 25 people I don't know on a random Leavers Do night out. I don't know how that's going to go. But anyway, I'm just getting on with it, because the worst that could happen is, I have fun. But anyway, let's put cringy life advice MetaGoblin on the shelf and say goodbye. My name is MetaGoblin. To my next video. Ciao.